The night was darker than usual. Even the moon seemed afraid to shine over the cursed kingdom. Inside the ancient palace, the bald king walked alone through long, echoing corridors. Every step sounded like a whisper from the dead. The queen's chamber remained sealed, protected by spells left behind by the magician who had stolen her away. The bald king had grown quieter, colder, stronger. He no longer feared the haunted winds that sang through broken windows. He had learned to listen, to the spirits, to the cries in the walls, to the magic that once belonged to his enemy. That night, he entered the old throne room. At the center stood a tall cracked mirror, covered in cobwebs. The royal historian had once warned him never to uncover it. It was said the mirror trapped the souls of kings who betrayed their crown. But the bald king didn't care. He ripped off the cover. The mirror shimmered, showing not his reflection but his queen, trapped behind the glass, her eyes filled with tears. Her lips moved, but her voice came out as whispers in the air. "Save me, before the curse consumes us both." The bald king raised his sword, the same blade blessed by the ghostly priest of the Black Chapel. As he struck the mirror, the palace shook violently. Shadows poured out like black smoke, circling him in fury. Each shadow took the form of a fallen king, bald, broken, betrayed. "You broke the seal," they hissed. "Now you must pay the price of every king who lost his crown." The bald king roared, his eyes glowing white. The spirits attacked, but the curse inside him fought back. A storm of fire and blood filled the hall. The mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, each reflecting a different future. When silence returned, the bald king stood alone again. The shards around him glowed faintly, showing visions, his queen, alive somewhere deep within the catacombs beneath the kingdom. He looked toward the dark stairs that led below. "I'm coming for you," he whispered. And as he stepped into the darkness, the whispers followed, "The king returns, but not as a man." The bald king descended into the catacombs beneath the haunted palace, his torch flickering weakly against the heavy air. The smell of damp stone and ancient death filled the tunnels. Each wall was carved with symbols, the same cursed runes the magician once used to seal his queen away. The further he went, the more the light began to fade, swallowed by darkness that seemed alive. He heard whispers again, but this time they were different, softer, almost kind. "Turn back," they said. "What you seek is not what you lost." But the bald king had no fear left in his heart. His bald head gleamed like a crown of defiance as he walked deeper, dragging his cursed sword along the ground. Sparks flew. The walls trembled. He reached a gate made of bones, guarded by 2 statues, the same faces as the magician. Their eyes glowed blue as they spoke in one voice. "Only the pure may enter. Only the damned may return." The bald king raised his sword. "Then I am both," he said. With a single strike, he split the gate open. The chamber beyond was vast and silent. In the middle floated a crystal coffin, and inside lay his queen, untouched by time, her beauty frozen under layers of ancient magic. But beside her stood the magician, cloaked in darkness, his eyes burning like coals. "So you finally found me," the magician hissed. "But you are too late. The curse feeds on your rage, and she will rise only when you fall." The bald king grinned. "Then let the curse feast." Their clash shook the catacombs. Fire met shadow. The walls cracked and screamed as spells burst like lightning. The magician's staff shattered, but his laughter filled the chamber. He was not dying, he was merging. His soul poured into the coffin, into the queen herself. Her eyes opened, but they were no longer hers. The magician's voice came through her lips, cold and cruel. "She is mine now." The bald king fell to his knees, the torch extinguished, leaving only the echo of his rage and sorrow in the darkness. But before the shadows swallowed him, his sword began to glow, feeding on his pain, his love, his curse. The spirit of the kingdom awakened again. Somewhere deep inside the dark, the queen whispered faintly, a single tear falling from her enchanted eyes. "Don't stop, my king." And the bald king rose once more, his eyes burning brighter than ever. The war between curse and love had only begun. The catacombs trembled as the bald king stood face to face with the one he had loved and lost. His queen floated above the cracked crystal coffin, her eyes no longer her own, twin flames of the magician's dark soul burning inside. The air grew colder. The ground turned to ash beneath his boots. Every torch on the walls died out one by one. The silence between them was heavier than any curse. "My love," the bald king said quietly. "If you can hear me, fight him." The queen smiled, but it wasn't her smile. "Your love made me weak. His curse made me eternal." Her voice echoed like thunder through the hall. "You wanted to save me. Now you will serve me. The bald king tightened his grip on his sword. Then I will fight both heaven and hell to bring you back. A roar filled the catacombs as the queen raised her hands. The shadows around her formed an army, faceless ghosts of past kings, cursed knights, and forgotten souls bound to the magician's will. The bald king charged forward, his blade glowing with ancient light. Every strike burned with the power of the kingdom's last hope. He cut through the spirits, but for each one he struck down, another rose. The magician's laughter echoed through the queen's voice. You can't kill what's already dead. But the bald king wasn't fighting to kill, he was fighting to reach. With each blow, he whispered her name, each word breaking a piece of the spell. Remember who you are. Remember me. The queen's eyes flickered for a moment. The magician screamed through her mouth, no. But the queen's voice broke through the chaos, soft and trembling, my king. For the first time in centuries, the shadows hesitated. The bald king dropped his sword, stepped closer, and touched her hand. Light burst through the chamber like dawn breaking after endless night. The magician's soul screamed as it was torn apart, fading into nothing. The queen fell into his arms, weak but alive. The curse was broken, or so it seemed. As they embraced, the catacomb walls began to crack open. The spirits, finally freed, whispered one last warning as they vanished. The curse was never his alone, it belongs to the crown. The bald king looked up. On his throne above, far beyond the catacombs, a crown shimmered, and pulsed like a heartbeat. The true curse had just awakened. The storm above the castle roared as the bald king carried his queen out of the shattered catacombs. The moonlight broke through the clouds for the first time in years, painting the ruined palace in silver and sorrow. The land was silent. No birds, no guards, no life. Only whispers in the wind that spoke his name. He laid his queen upon the royal bed, her breathing soft and fragile. It's over, he whispered. But the kingdom didn't answer. A low hum filled the air. From the throne room above came a faint golden glow, the ancient crown, resting upon the cracked throne, pulsing like a living heart. The bald king knew that sound. It was the same echo that haunted his dreams since the curse began. He stepped closer. Every beat of the crown's light made the ground tremble, as if the castle itself was alive. The queen stirred in her sleep, whispering, "Don't touch it, my love, the crown remembers everything." But the bald king was drawn to it, as if an invisible force was calling him home. He reached out, and the moment his fingers brushed the golden metal, the world around him froze. Time shattered. He found himself standing in a mirror world, the same throne room, but twisted. Shadows of his ancestors sat in the seats of power, each one bald, crowned, and broken. Their hollow eyes turned toward him. "You broke the curse," the first king said. "But you forgot the truth." The bald king clenched his fists. "What truth?" "The crown chooses its ruler. Not by birth, not by right, but by sacrifice. Every king who wears it gives his soul to the land. That is how the kingdom lives." He stared at them in silence as the crown began to whisper. "Wear me again, and she lives forever. Refuse me, and your love dies tonight." He turned toward the vision of his queen, lying pale and still. The choice cut deeper than any sword. Tears burned his eyes. "So that's the price of every king," he said. "To rule means to die, to love means to lose." He picked up the crown. Its weight was colder than death. As he placed it upon his head, light exploded through the palace, bright, blinding, divine. The queen awoke, gasping for air, her eyes shining once more. But when she looked around, the bald king was gone. Only his voice remained, echoing through the hall. "My love, the kingdom is yours now. And I am its shadow." The wind fell silent. The throne glowed faintly, and from the crown's reflection, a figure appeared, the bald king, standing behind her, no longer flesh, but spirit. Watching, protecting, forever bound. And outside, the once haunted kingdom began to bloom again, under the watchful ghost of the bald king.